Have you ever imagined being caught in a massive rainstorm thousands of years ago? There are no houses made of concrete, no umbrellas, no waterproof jackets, no weather forecast on your phone, and no emergency shelters. Dark clouds suddenly filled the sky. The wind grows stronger. Thunder echoes across the land. Within minutes, heavy rain begins pouring from above. What would you do? Surprisingly, this wasn't just a frightening situation for ancient humans, it was a normal part of life. For hundreds of thousands of years, our ancestors faced powerful storms using nothing but their intelligence, experience, and the natural world around them. Every heavy rainfall was a challenge, but it also taught them valuable lessons that helped shape the future of human civilization. Long before villages and cities existed, early humans lived as hunter-gatherers. They traveled from place to place in search of food, fresh water, and safe shelter. Because they constantly moved across forests, grasslands, mountains, and river valleys, they had to understand nature better than any modern person. They watched the sky, studied the behavior of animals, and learned to recognize the signs of approaching storms. Sometimes they noticed birds flying lower than usual. At other times, they saw dark clouds forming over distant mountains or felt the air becoming cooler and more humid. These natural signs warned them that heavy rain was coming. Whenever possible, they prepared before the first drops even reached the ground. The safest place during a storm was often a cave. Natural caves provided protection from rain, strong winds, and cold temperatures. Archaeological discoveries show that many prehistoric communities used caves not only as temporary shelters, but also as places where they slept, cooked food, created tools, and painted remarkable artwork on the walls. During heavy rain, the entrance of a cave became a barrier against the harsh weather outside, while the inside remained relatively dry. However, caves were not available everywhere. Large parts of Africa, Asia, and Europe had open landscapes with few natural shelters. In these regions, ancient people became skilled builders. They collected strong branches, flexible sticks, large leaves, tall grass, reeds, bark, and animal hides to create simple shelters. Although these structures were basic compared to modern houses, they were surprisingly effective. The design of these shelters was extremely important. Instead of making flat roofs where rainwater could collect, they built sloping roofs that allowed water to flow down quickly. They tied branches together using vines or strips of animal hide and layered grass or leaves on top to create additional protection. This simple engineering reduced leaks and helped keep the inside much drier during storms. Choosing where to build a shelter was just as important as building it. Ancient people quickly learned that living beside a river could be dangerous during heavy rainfall. Rivers that looked calm in the morning could overflow within hours after a storm. Flash floods could sweep away shelters, tools, food, and even entire families. Because of this, many groups preferred slightly higher ground, where rainwater drained away more safely. They also avoided building shelters beneath dead or damaged trees. Strong winds during storms could cause large branches to fall without warning. Through generations of experience, people learned which places were safe and which places should never become campsites. One of the greatest challenges during heavy rain was protecting fire. Fire changed human history. It provided warmth during cold nights, allowed people to cook food, frightened away many dangerous animals, hardened wooden tools, and created a place where families could gather together. But fire and rain are natural enemies. Whenever storms approached, ancient humans worked together to keep their fires alive. Inside caves, they placed fires farther from the entrance where rain could not easily reach them. In open shelters, they sometimes covered the fire using stones, thick pieces of bark, or carefully arranged branches that allowed smoke to escape while blocking much of the rain. Keeping a single flame alive could save hours or even days of effort because creating fire from scratch was extremely difficult before the invention of matches. Heavy rain also changed the way ancient people found food. Hunting became much harder because many animals hid during storms. Wet ground made movement slower, and slippery rocks increased the risk of injury. Instead of traveling long distances, families often stayed together inside their shelters until conditions improved. While waiting, they remained productive. Adults repaired broken spears, sharpened stone blades, prepared animal hides for clothing, made ropes from plant fibers, and taught younger members valuable survival skills. Children learned by watching and listening as older generations shared stories about successful hunts, dangerous animals, and the lessons they had learned from nature. In this way, storms became opportunities for learning as well as survival. Rain itself was not always considered an enemy. In fact, ancient humans understood that rain was essential for life. After a long period of rainfall, rivers became full, plants grew faster, and animals returned to feed on fresh vegetation. This often made hunting easier once the weather cleared. Edible plants, berries, mushrooms, and roots also became more abundant after rain in many regions. Ancient people carefully observed these seasonal patterns and planned their movements accordingly. Their survival depended on understanding how rain affected the entire ecosystem. Clothing also played an important role during storms. Early humans did not have woven, waterproof fabrics, but they adapted using available materials. Animal skins provided warmth even when conditions became cold. Large leaves could offer temporary protection while traveling short distances. In colder climates, fur helped trap body heat even if some moisture reached the surface. Different regions required different solutions. People living in tropical forests experienced frequent rainfall and developed shelters that allowed water to drain quickly while keeping good airflow inside. In colder parts of Europe and northern Asia, surviving rain was often linked with surviving freezing temperatures. Wet clothing combined with cold weather could become deadly, so keeping dry whenever possible was essential. Archaeological evidence suggests that human shelters gradually became more sophisticated over thousands of years. Early windbreaks made from branches slowly evolved into stronger huts supported by wooden frames. Later communities added thicker walls, improved roofing materials, and better drainage systems around their homes. Every generation built upon the knowledge of the previous one. This slow process of innovation eventually led to permanent villages. Once agriculture developed around 12,000 years ago, people no longer needed to move constantly in search of food. Farmers built stronger homes using mud bricks, timber, and stone. Roofs became more durable, and settlements were planned to reduce flooding. All these improvements had one goal: protecting families from the forces of nature, including heavy rain. Scientists believe that one reason humans became so successful was our ability to learn from experience and share knowledge with others. Every storm taught important lessons. If a shelter collapsed, people built a stronger one next time. If a campsite flooded, they chose higher ground in the future. If a roof leaked, they changed its design. This continuous learning process transformed survival into progress. Today, when heavy rain begins, most of us simply walk indoors, open an umbrella, or check a weather app. We rarely think about how difficult the same situation was for our ancestors. Yet every roof above our heads, every drainage system beneath our streets, and every weather forecast we receive represents thousands of years of accumulated human knowledge. The next time you hear thunder outside or watch rain falling against your window, remember the people who lived thousands of years before us. Without modern technology, they survived storms through observation, cooperation, creativity, and resilience. They learned from nature instead of fighting against it, and those lessons helped lay the foundation for the world we live in today. Ancient humans did not survive because they were stronger than nature. They survived because they understood it. And perhaps that's the greatest survival lesson they left behind.